Ah, yes, the Cleveland Cavaliers and Miami Heat. Two teams with very different styles and two teams that undoubtedly have a history. But with that said, they have a lot in common. Just like last season, they both ranked in the NBA's top 10 defensively and feature some of the best defenders in basketball during the regular season. Both teams feature talented big men, both feature highly respected head coaches, and both won titles with LeBron James at the helm in the not too distant past. But unlike last season, the Cleveland Cavaliers absolutely dominated opponents offensively, scoring 100 or more in all but one game, 110 or more in 74 of 82, 120 or more 45 times, 130 or more 20 times, and 140 or more 4 different occasions. They were the #1 rated offense in basketball. Miami, on the other hand, finished the regular season as one of the NBA's 10 worst offenses, ranking 21st in offensive rating. They often struggle to score. To me, this has the potential to be one of the most compelling series of the first round due to the elite coaching on both sides, or a complete snooze fest as Cleveland looks to get the job done early. That's what makes this matchup more compelling than typical 1-8 matchups from year to year. Both teams have strengths that they can lean on, and both have weaknesses that can be exploited. With that in mind, let's break down just how the Cavaliers can win this series. Roll the film. The tale of the tape. The Miami Heat and Cleveland Cavaliers get the job done in different ways. The Cavs feature one of the more unique offenses in basketball. They finished the 2024-25 regular season scoring just 42% of their points in the paint and 47% on two-pointers overall. That ranked 22nd and 26th in the NBA respectively. That said, when they choose to beat you in that way, they can absolutely do so. They can beat you from both inside the painted area and beyond the arc. They are 9th in the league in rim field goal percentage at 68.1% and 1st in all mid-range shots at 48% per cleaning the glass. Their biggest change has been their willingness to let it fly from three-point distance. A whopping 39.1% of their points are coming via the three-point shot. Good enough for 5th league-wide. Unlike last season, where they were middle of the pack in terms of efficiency at 36.7%, they are #2 in the league in terms of three-point percentage, drilling home 38.3% of their trays. They are knocking down the NBA's second most triples per game at 15.9 trays per contest. It is clear that they value the triple, and rightfully so. All of that being said, this is the #1 scoring offense in basketball, putting up 121.9 points per game, and they are officially offensive juggernauts, and much of that has been due to the changes in offensive philosophy. The Heat, on the other hand, score 42.6% of their points in the paint, 48.4% on two-point field goals overall, and 37.2% on three-point field goals, 19th, 20th, and 10th respectively. It's somewhat similar to Cleveland in those regards. Where they differ is in terms of volume and efficiency. They attempt the league's 16th most triples at 37.3 and make its 12th most triples at 13.7 per game. In other words, they are middle of the pack while Cleveland is top 5. And to top it all off, they complete just 36.7% of those shots, good for 12th league-wide. They may not be the most three-heavy offense in the league, but they do have 5 players on the roster that shot 37% or better from distance this year. This year's Heat team does not score effectively around the rim, ranking 22nd in rim field goal percentage at 64.7%. They are, however, pretty well rounded outside of that in terms of zones. They are 13th in mid-range looks, 13th in non-corner triples, 13th in corner trays, and much like the Cavs of yesteryear, Miami plays with a slow, deliberate pace, ranking 27th in the NBA in that category. Keys to victory. #1, control the pace, set the tone. This one is pretty straightforward. Cleveland operates at one of the 10 fastest paces in basketball this year. The Cavs are often at their best when they are out in transition, forcing the opposing team to scramble and defend both the three-point line as well as the painted area due to many great slashers and drivers. Now, this isn't to say that they can't succeed in the half court or thrive in it, but they are clearly at their best on the move. They cannot allow Miami to dictate the pace of this series. As mentioned before, they play with one of the NBA's slowest speeds this year, and they are perfectly fine doing so. They are deliberate, they are intentional, and they will spend a great deal of time executing their sets very slowly. Cleveland must not get lulled to sleep by the grinded out nature of this Eric Spoelstra-led offense. And make no mistake, the team is no stranger to this type of play after years of the JB Bickerstaff experience, but there are many reasons why they've been able to score so many points, and one of those is an up-tempo pace. They average 3.8 more field goal attempts per game than Miami, and believe it or not, those 4 additional shots could could be crucial in series like this. Every point matters. Move the ball, don't fall into the habit of being over-reliant on the jump shot, and don't be afraid to get the ball to your bigs.
Space to get it off.
First basket of the third quarter for Mitchell. Porter slips it to Allen, who dunks it down.
Attack the glass, limit second chance opportunities. Now I feel like this is a perennial key to victory, as the Cavs have struggled in years past with it. Hell, they finished 14th and 15th in overall rebounds per game in back-to-back postseasons. It's something that has been an issue for a while, to be honest. That said, Cleveland did manage to finish the 2024-25 regular season as the 6th ranked team on the glass, hauling in 45.4 boards per game and at a top 12 rebounding percentage at 50.5%. It's improved, but it's not yet playoff tested. The Miami Heat, on the other hand, are not an especially great rebounding team. In fact, they rank 21st in overall rebounds per game. However, things must be evaluated in essentially two halves, meaning a big portion of their rebounding left the building when Jimmy Butler did. They had ranked 19th in rebounding prior to that trade. They had been particularly effective on the defensive glass, where they ranked 5th, pulling down 34.4 per game. That within itself isn't all that eye-popping, but what it essentially meant was that they were adept at shutting down second chance opportunities, and to that point, they had allowed just 13.4 second chance points prior to the deal. That was the 9th fewest in the league up to that point. Conversely, they scored just 11.3 per game themselves, which was 29th. So while they may not have been able to make you pay for not ending their possessions, they for damn sure weren't allowing you to get extra possessions often either. But the crazy thing is, they have kind of improved in that area since the trade. In the 33 games post-trade, they have allowed the league's fewest second chance points per game at 12.1 and have even seen a small bump in the amount they score themselves at 12.8, which is 25th. Now, as mentioned before, this is an area that Cleveland struggled in mightily during last year's series against the Magic and against the Knicks the year prior. They allowed Orlando to generate 14.7 second chance points last postseason, which was the 3rd highest average in the playoffs. And they allowed New York to do even more damage at 18.2. The Cavs were middle of the pack this season in this area, allowing opponents to score 14. Now, if Cleveland is to win this series like most believe they will, the effort on the glass must be visible. Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley will do what they can, but here's the thing, it's not like that solely falls on the bigs. This has to be a collective effort. The backcourt duo of Darius, Garland, and Donovan Mitchell must get involved. So too must Max Strus or whoever is out there manning the 3. They have to box out and provide good positioning to keep Miami from reaping the possible reward of a second chance opportunity. Cleveland has to keep Miami off the glass in this matchup. They managed to win the battle on the boards 2 out of the 3 times the teams met during the regular season series. The 2 biggest threats on their roster in this area are Bam Adebayo, who led the team in 9.6 per game, and rookie Khil, who finished 4th among rookies with 7.4 boards per contest. All of this being said, Cleveland is well aware of just how much rebounding can affect the outcome of a series and needs to do everything within its power to prioritize it. And last but not least, contain the drive. Now, as mentioned before, things are a little different now that Jimmy Butler left town, but something that has remained consistent despite that has been Miami's propensity to drive the basketball. They were 11th with 50.1 drives with Butler on the team and are 9th post-Butler in drives per game with 51.1 as a collective. Not a big difference. There are a number of players on this roster who can put the ball on the floor and attack the rim. Let's start with DaVon Mitchell, who completed 51.4% of his field goals off of his 601 total drives this season. Now, he did spend half the year with Toronto, but he did indeed continue his efficiency when driving the ball as part of the Miami Heat. But his impact goes beyond knocking down shots. Mitchell has been a quality facilitator as well. He has the NBA's 8th most total assists off of drives post Butler with 46 helpers and has an assist percentage of 14.1% on drives. Mitchell has been very effective at the driving kick, and it has led to him finishing with an average of 5.3 assists per contest in his 30 games with Miami this year. He's made the most of his opportunity since coming over and is basically receiving starters minutes off the bench for Spoelstra's Heat. Bam Adebayo can attack in this way, but isn't nearly as big a threat to do so as others. Andrew Wiggins, who came over in the Butler deal, can too, but has been quite turnover prone when doing so. Jaime Jaquez and Kyle Anderson deserve to be mentioned here as well. But there is one name that stands above all in that regard, and his name is Tyler Herro. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Herro is one of just 9 players who drove the ball at least 1,000 times this season. And not only does he have the NBA's 4th most made field goals off of drives, but he's damn efficient while doing so. He completed a staggering 53.8% of his field goals in this way. The only players who have been more efficient are SGA and Jalen Brunson. And for what it's worth, this is a 9-man group that also includes Darius Garland. He has been a crafty finisher all season long, and the film shows that.
Scoop layup again. Nobody getting into the paint so easy.
He placed within the 94th percentile in rim shot making efficiency per B-ball index. He's been a very good playmaker this season as well, with 1.8 of his 5.5 assists per game coming via the drive. That is the 7th highest in the association entering the playoffs. Of the 14 players averaging at least 1.5 of those on drives, only Garland and Atlanta's Trae Young have a higher assist percentage. And like those two, the drive and kick is a fundamental part of the equation. He is passing the ball 44.2% of the time on these drives, so he's definitely always looking to dish the rock out to the perimeter. Now, Miami is not the type of team that is dependent on the three, but they are, however, dangerous from the three-point line. 7 of their potential playoff rotation shot 35% or above this season, and there are some dependable catch and shoot options on the perimeter to coincide with those drives. Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson were 2 of the 70 players this season that drilled at least 100 catch and shoot trays. Now, if Cleveland is to stop Miami offensively, they must contain Miami's attempts at driving and eliminate and cut off those driving lanes. Expect a good dosage of drop coverage and zone defense. Matchups to keep an eye on. Playoff basketball can be heavily matchup driven, right down to the individual matchups between 2 opposing rotations. Over the course of this series, there will be a few matchups that will be worth keeping an eye on. Some of them may prove more instrumental to victory than others. With that being the case, here are 4 matchups that could decide the fate of this first round series. Number 1, Jarrett Allen versus Khil. This is one that I'm very curious about. Jarrett Allen has had another terrific season. He played in all 82 games, led the league in field goal percentage at 70.6%, and averaged the most points for any player taking 8 or fewer shots per game at 13.5 per contest. Oh, and he helped anchor a top 8 defense. Any narratives that were still out there after last season's playoff performance have essentially been put to bed. But he still must prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that he can replicate it for a sustained playoff run. And it's going to take more than a 4-game sample size to wipe his lights too bright comments from people's memories. Khil is not Mitchell Robinson on the offensive glass, but he is indeed a solid rebounder. This will present Allen with a physical challenge that he, and to a lesser extent Evan Mobley, will have to overcome. Now, Ware is not a floor spacing option yet, so I don't believe JA will have much to worry about in that regard, but he will be ready to do battle on the boards. An area in which I've already mentioned multiple times that Cleveland has struggled with, especially against physical teams. This is certainly one to keep an eye on.
Khil Ware with a jump hook that rattles down.
Number 2, Davion Mitchell versus Donovan Mitchell. Yes, we have the battle of 45s, the matchup of Mitchells, the game within the game. In the blue corner, we have Davion Mitchell, one of the more effective point of attack defenders in the entire league. In the red corner, or wine in this case, we have Donovan Mitchell, a brilliant scorer and borderline top 10 player in the NBA, maybe even higher depending upon your preference. This, my friends, could be a major factor in determining the outcome of this series. Davion Mitchell is legitimately one of the best guard defenders in the NBA. He has the size and strength to match up well with Spider, has great instincts, and is always up for the challenge of defending a team's best perimeter threat. Davion places within the 99th percentile in matchup difficulty. He can make life difficult for opposing guards. Davion is a very good on-ball defender, and while his on-ball defensive skills deserve a ton of credit, so too do his off-ball skills. He is very good at the chase, meaning that if a team such as the Cavaliers are trying to run an action for their number 1 or number 2 option, in this case Donovan Mitchell, Davion Mitchell will give chase. He is always engaged in tracking his target to make sure that he has the position needed to provide a proper contest of their shot. His screen navigation has been elite this season, but while Davion Mitchell is a terrific defender, Donovan Mitchell is a terrific scorer. He ranked 25th in the league this year in points per game at 24 per contest, but trust me when I say that he could have put up more for Cleveland this year if he needed to. But that's the thing, for maybe the first time in his NBA career, Mitchell isn't constantly being required to be the primary source of offense night in and night out. The Cavaliers are balanced enough to survive rough outings from their star. Mitchell's on track to make another All-NBA team, presumably first team. Pesta is a true 3-level scorer, able to attack you at the rim, in the mid-range area, and from beyond the arc. And this season, he has continued to prove that he can hurt you just as much as a facilitator, quickly reminding fans why he should be considered one of the best, if not the best, combo guard in the entire association.
For Trendon? No. As Mobley rocks the rim.
This was his 4th career season with at least 5 assists or more per game. One thing is for certain, Mitchell v. Mitchell should be a very intriguing matchup. And it's worth noting that DaVon spent more time defending Darius Garland than Donovan Mitchell this season, but I do have a feeling they will split his time between the two during this series. Number 3, Evan Mobley versus Bam Adebayo. Look, there is no other way to put it. This is the matchup that the people want to see, especially with Jimmy Butler no longer on the team. And no disrespect to Tyler Herro, but Bam Adebayo is still viewed by many to be the straw that stirs the proverbial drink. Mobley and Adebayo are sure to see a lot of one another in this series. Bam is one of the players that come to mind, honestly, when you think of the modern day big. He is very similar to Mobley in certain areas. He's a decent floor spacer, he's a dependable rebounder, a versatile defender capable of protecting the rim and switching out onto the perimeter to defend the 3-point shot. And to top it all off, he's one of the NBA's better passing bigs. All in all, just a very similar player to Evan Mobley. And there's a reason why this man has made 5 all-defensive teams and has been named an All-Star 3 different times. Conversely, Evan Mobley appears to be on the precipice of being named Defensive Player of the Year, being voted first team All-Defense as well as second or third team All-NBA, and has already been named to his first All-Star team. The 2024-25 season has been exactly what many fans were expecting this year for Mobley. The leap has been taken. The young man has improved in many areas, with his 3-point shot leading the way in that conversation. But in addition to that, he's shown an improved handle, a better focus on defensive rebounding, and improved confidence. Much of this can be attributed to the switch at the top and Kenny Atkinson being named the head coach, but give Mobley just as much credit for stepping up. Mobley held Adebayo to 7 of 16 from the field during the regular season when acting as his primary defender. He has a real chance to keep that going heading into the playoffs. The key will be just how well Mobley is able to defend on the elbow and within the painted area. And if drawn out to the perimeter, he must close out without biting on the pump fake. If defending the drive, he must use the rule of verticality to his advantage to contest Bam at the rim. Now, offensively speaking, Mobley must continue his ascension as a driver himself and put the ball on the floor. When that isn't there, he must look to establish himself in the painted area and to pull the trigger from 3-point distance when the space is provided to him.
Number 4, Kenny Atkinson versus Erik Spoelstra. This might be the most important, to be honest. Erik Spoelstra needs no introduction. He's a Heat lifer, a multi-time champion, and always has his team ready to compete no matter the odds. Spoelstra has championship experience he can lean on and will look to exploit Cleveland's weaknesses the best way he can given his roster. Kenny Atkinson returned to the head coaching ranks this season after picking up a few things as an assistant coach under Steve Kerr and a few other assignments. All he did was field one of the best offenses in league history, put together the 2nd best regular season in franchise history, and earned the number 1 seed in the East. His optimization of the offense and rotation has paid dividends. This will be a battle of 2 brilliant tacticians, and Atkinson will have to make the necessary adjustments should Spoelstra make life difficult. This could boil down to timely play calling, rotational adjustments, and the willingness to pivot if necessary. It should be one to watch.
X factors for Cleveland. When breaking this series down, there are a handful of possible X factors that could play a huge role in determining the victor of this series. Let's start with Jerome. Jerome has been a catalyst for this Cavs team all season long, full stop. He is a knockdown perimeter shot, and his ability to make plays for others, whether that be off of driving kicks, dump offs, or lobs at the rim, can be a very real asset, especially in lineups without one of Garland or Mitchell on the floor. He is also capable of being a two-way player for stretches, and that generally comes in the form of deflections and pickpockets, as he is always a threat to take you by surprise. He ended the 2024-25 season placing within the 93rd percentile in pickpocket rating and the 92nd percentile in passing lane defense. He's barely been off this year, and even if he is struggling with his shot, he typically finds ways to impact the game as a facilitator or a thief, but the biggest weapon in his arsenal may be his floater. A shot you can see from a mile away on his dribble drives, and you still can't stop. He placed within the 100th percentile in floater count this year, and as you can imagine, it's his go-to shot when all else fails. In order for Cleveland to pull this one out, they are gonna have to have Jerome bring his A game. Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen should get a good number of touches in this series, as Evan Mobley is almost assuredly going to be defended by Bam Adebayo. That leaves Ware to take on Allen. JA has a notable advantage in the experience category and must take advantage. He got off to a torrid start last postseason, putting up 17 points and 13.8 rebounds per game, and he was dominating the glass and must make it a priority to do the same against Miami starting in Game 1. He isn't a floor spacing threat, but he can draw Ware out to the perimeter through the use of the DHO, something he does very, very well. Allen's presence is key a lot of the time in opening up space for shooters like Max Strus and Sam Merrill, as the two often rise up after said DHO and drill trays. DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter is yet another X factor. After being acquired by the Cavs at the deadline from the Atlanta Hawks, it wasn't quite clear whether or not Hunter would be starting or coming off the bench. And to be honest, I'm still not quite sure what to expect come the start of the playoffs. That said, Hunter has spent the bulk of his time as a reserve since coming over, and frankly, it's hard to argue against this decision, especially considering that the Cavs don't technically feature a true third big. That has led to Hunter playing 71% of his minutes at the 4 since he came over. He will be one of the Cavs' biggest X factors in the playoffs, and that starts Game 1 against the Miami Heat. His ability to create for himself, knock down the perimeter shot, and defend at a high level will all make him an extremely important piece of the puzzle for Kenny Atkinson. Now, I would not be surprised to see Hunter play more minutes than ever beginning in this matchup, and I cannot wait to see it play out. Dean Wade. Dean Wade is an X factor in the same way that DeAndre Hunter is in many regards. The size, the defensive ability, the rebounding, and three-point shot making make him an indispensable part of this Cavs playoff rotation. The most valuable part of his contribution, however, comes on the defensive side. It's his versatility on that end of the floor that will be of high importance. Dean Wade grades as one of the NBA's most versatile defenders, and as such, he plays within the 98th percentile in defensive positional versatility per B-Ball Index. The Cavs will throw him on some of the toughest matchups in the game, and Wade will just put his hard hat on and go to work. And that, my friend, starts with this first round series. I think Wade will spend a considerable amount of time defending the likes of Bam Adebayo and maybe even Andrew Wiggins. Time will tell. And speaking of Andrew Wiggins, though he isn't a Cleveland Cavalier, his impact could still make or break how long this series lasts. Frankly speaking, Andrew Wiggins has always had the talent to be one of the league's most effective two-way players. He didn't truly realize that potential though until he touched ground in Golden State. He has great size and length at 6'7", with a 7-foot wingspan, and has always displayed a high level of athletic ability. Wiggins and Cleveland will be forever linked through the trade that brought in Kevin Love to form the Cavs' big three of Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, and LeBron James. The rest is history. His positional versatility from a defensive standpoint is impactful and will allow Spoelstra and company to throw him on many of Cleveland's best perimeter options. He placed within the 98th percentile in perimeter isolation defense during the regular season, and typically always draws one of the tougher perimeter assignments. He will likely be tasked with matching up with whoever the hot hand is come this series. Now, I'll be lying to you if I said I wasn't going to be keeping an eye on how effective a stopper he can be against this Cavs team. With his size, I expect him to spend time defending whoever the Heat feel is hurting him the most throughout this series. And with Davion Mitchell being the tremendous guard defender that he is, the Heat have the ability to legitimately throw high-level defenders at both of Cleveland's star guards if necessary. And when you lump in Bam Adebayo, who is also an all-defensive caliber type of defender out there, things get even more hectic. Well, there you have it, Cavs fans. This is the Cavaliers' key to success. Make sure you keep an eye on this. And if you like this breakdown, do your boy a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on a beat. Go Cavs.
Donovan Mitchell, back out to Garland. Perpetual movement offensively, and it pays